Where's my passport?
Hello and welcome to I Am Not Your Tour Guide, but I am your host, Starla Skelton. This is a podcast where I can open a dialogue with other travelers who have a passion for telling their stories. So whether you have jet set all over the globe or you have barely got your navigational feet wet, this is a place where we take a deep dive into why people travel. So today we're switching it up a little bit. Okay. So I've learned that some of the best experiences happen in life when you open up to being flexible. So when Aaron Moon, as you may remember him from the podcast, not to sound like a Hallmark movie, he is a photographer and he runs his company Pics by the Moon. But he suggested that we host an episode together to interview one of his dear friends who seems to be fascinating. So I want to welcome today's co-host and podcast all-star, Aaron Moon. Hello, Aaron.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello. I'm so glad you and your flowing hair could make it today for this podcast.
No comment, Murph.
So, Aaron, you and I were co-hosting today, okay? So that means I am going to learn how to share this platform because, I love to ask questions. I love to talk. So
Of
me and
course.
you, we're doing this together today. Are you excited?
Well, you're brilliant at it. So, yes.
Not yet, but I'm working. I'm working towards it.
Oh,
so,
no, you
right.
you can own that. You are.
I'm actually blushing and that doesn't happen. But anyways, so Aaron, I want you to go ahead, take the floor, and I want you to introduce our guests for today.
All right. So, my goodness, beyond excitement here. So, my absolute pleasure to introduce Frederick Deshawn Murphy, a.k.a. Murph. This guy, my goodness. He has been No, I'm so excited. It's so crazy. He has been a heart friend of mine for just shy of 2 decades. We have been friends for 19 years at this point. And I don't know. It's just, Murph, I have so much mad love and respect for you. You're just the epitome just of everything, inspiration, loyalty, encouragement, unwavering support, to encourage people to pursue their passions. I mean, you're just a good dude, man. I'm just so excited to be part of this right now. I mean, that's all I can say. You're amazing. This is going to be great. I'm very stoked.
Welcome, Murph.
Thank you,
Appreciate it as well. My God, I'm blushing, and it's hard to get me to do as well.
Let's just make everyone blush right now. Anyone who's even hearing this, let's do that.
I appreciate it, man. The sentiments are the same, for sure.
Appreciate you, brother.
I like how Aaron just started us out like we're a Hallmark movie. So I love it. I love that.
Oh my God. Starla, is that my thing now? Is that my thing?
Yes. All right. So I love this. I love that we're all together. Thank you, Murph, for joining us. I know that you have a story to tell, and I'm really excited to dive into that today. So just to kind of dive into this, I want to start out with a bit of a superficial travel question, which is what drives you to travel to certain places for interviews? Is it certain people that you want to interview, or is it the history behind your geographical location, or what drives you to that?
Yeah. So a little bit of background. Growing up, traveling was not something that we had the opportunity to do. Growing up in a single parent home, the only traveling that we did was from Tennessee to Illinois, and that was for family reunions. And so just due to our economic status, we just didn't have the funds to travel. So for years, outside of Tennessee and Illinois, I wasn't going anywhere. We weren't doing family vacations or anything like that because of just, didn't have the funds. And so as I got older, I wanted to make sure that I saw more versus Tennessee and Illinois, So I kind of made a promise to myself that after I got out of high school that I was going to explore as much of the United States as I can. And so it's baby steps, right? Because if I haven't been anywhere outside of these two states on a consistent basis, um, I kind of got to start with the canvassing what we have here in the United States. I surely wasn't thinking about going overseas or to the Caribbean or anything like that. I'm like, okay, well, even if I just go to North Carolina or Texas, I'm winning because it's not like that was something that was afforded before, right? And so, luckily enough for me, I had a cousin when my father had left the family who came up and took me in Louisiana where he was living. And I was able to, during some of my summers, go there and visit, which was huge for me because Tennessee was very black and white. When you go to Louisiana from Tennessee, you have every color of the rainbow in Louisiana. It's just such a diverse ethnic group of people that are in Louisiana. For, of course, since it was France and it was, it was French, it was Spanish. Louisiana has such a storied history with various different, I don't want to say dictators, but individuals who, of course, had it in its possession. And so after high school, I kind of just took off, right? I first moved to Nashville, where I received my undergrad at Tennessee State University. And I was at the University of Memphis prior to that. And then I went to Nashville. And then the day of graduation, I moved to Atlanta. The day of graduation, we had a party that evening, was toasted, was drunk. It was ridiculous. It was bad, y'all. Got up at like 6:00 morning the very next day and listened to Gladys Knight and the Pips' Midnight Train to Georgia the whole way down with my Toyota Corolla,
Heck yeah.
1990 Toyota Corolla on the back of this U-Haul on my way to Atlanta without a job. And within 2 days, I found a job because Enterprise would hire anybody. So that's how that whole thing went down. And Aaron and I started working. That's where we met at. It was Enterprise. And so from there, me being in Atlanta, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of cool places that are pretty close to here, right? You have the mountains this way, and then you have the ocean this way. So I would go down to Savannah, just take little day trips. And I've always liked outdoors, so I would go up to North Georgia and do some little hikes and stuff like that. And so that's what really got my traveling, interest peaked, is once I was able to leave home. Now, as far as the interviews, you're referring to the documentary work?
Yes. And you know what? I should have let Aaron give a little bit of background on your documentary work. That probably would have been smart. So yeah, set us up with that. Yeah, set us up with that since we're already in. Tell us a little bit about that work.
Yeah, so I became a mental health therapist and a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And I just hit burnout like badly. And I think, Mooney, I talked to you about some of that, just how my caseload was just so full.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and I always tell people about self-care. People, taking care of yourself. How are you taking care of yourself? And I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. I was only a counselor on this specific campus that I was at. I was the director of counseling for like 2.5 years. And, I went to my supervisor, my dean, and I said, hey, if you don't have another therapist here within the next 2 weeks, then I'm just leaving because I can get a job anywhere. I'm an African-American male therapist, and there's that are licensed. They were able to put that in place. And the second they did that is when I started getting back to some of the things that I love to do, which was collecting oral histories. I was always doing it as a kid with people in my community as well as my family. So I said, you know what, let me be very specific about what type of oral histories I want to collect at this moment and travel throughout the Southeast and interview people about their specified experiences during Jim Crow. So that's how it started. And so obviously that's a very specific area that I needed to cover, right? And so my interviews with interviewing individuals, some of it is my own personal interest. And then some of it is really rooted in what may be happening current climate or during the past tense, they need attention brought to it. And so that is what really drives it. And so far with these interviews, I've done work in Appalachia, I've done work in the Low Country, Gullah Geechee areas, Eastern North Carolina, so on the coast. So I've been blessed to be able to go a little bit here, there, and everywhere with the documentaries that I direct or direct to produce.
Amazing.
And may I interject? Like, can you like expand upon like your like just original like inspiration and like starting behind History Before Us? Like, I mean, because it's such an amazing venture and like so important. Like, where did it start from? Like, what was the origination of that?
Atlanta really had, Nashville, because Nashville was like one of the hubs for the civil rights movement. There were a lot of freedom riders that came from Fisk University, Tennessee State University, Meharry, all those different schools. There was training in those areas as well. So my interest was peaked there, and then getting to Atlanta and seeing how much influence Black history had within the city's landscape. That was another area, right? And then also history within my own family that helped me kind of want to understand this thing called history a whole lot more, because of the simple fact that I felt in my K through 12 experience that it wasn't the best experience, right? And I think that a lot of people have come to understand that a lot of things weren't necessarily discussed. When you play the safe role and you only keep Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks as the only two influential people of color, I mean, come on. You just telling me we just have these two individuals and that's it? And so that's what really also kind of kicked things off. And it's just like, you know what? We see these people every day. We walk by these people every day who were fighting to get the right to vote. I mean, my goodness, it's Women's History Month, and women of color in this country couldn't vote until 1965, like 1965, right? Yeah. So it started by being in certain cities and just kind of being very inquisitive about the landscape, the demographics, and buildings that were dedicated to this person, or highways that was dedicated to that person, or watching documentaries or meeting some of the descendants of these individuals. And that's what really I don't want to say jump started, because I was already interested, but that's what kind of took it to a whole nother level.
Okay. We haven't talked about this per se, but like your own like immediate family, like how do they support you in this venture? Like what's their mindset like in conjunction with what you're doing and how amazing it is?
My family's very important, and my family did have a huge role in this as well. I have Wilma Rudolph is a cousin of mine. So obviously she's a gold medalist winner. She overcame a lot of different challenges as a kid. So I have a lot of triumphs as well as challenges, bad things that have happened in my family. Aaron, I've told you this before, but my grandmother's brother was hanged in 1963 or 1964. And so that also, his hanging, my grandmother and some other folks, they found him behind my great grandmother's home, unfortunately. And so that also played a role into it, because I started looking at the history of lynchings in the United States. And Ida B. Wells was a person who was one of the trailblazers in that, as well as other individuals. But she's the one that's usually the face of the anti-lynching campaign. And so for some people in my family, they don't want to talk about the past because it's painful, right? A lot of them were most of them were sharecroppers and were duped and didn't get a fair shake on certain things. And that's why they ended up in Illinois, because they were leaving the sharecropping institution of the Jim Crow South. And so, but they're all supportive. My immediate family, the kids and everyone, wife, they're all supportive as well, because they recognize that legacy is important. And I don't want to just be that person that, when it's all said and done, to where a person just says, oh, well, he worked hard, he worked hard as this and this only, right? I don't feel as if we're made to be a monolith. Like we are, and this is just not Black folks. This is everybody. Like we are made to be very multidimensional. But I think that in so many different cases, we get put into this bubble to where if you worked in this industry for a long time, then you have to do that and do that only. And that's not living to me, right? That's not living to me. And so, everyone's supportive, and people understand now at this point it's more about legacy and educating people than anything else.
Right. And your family sounds amazing. I love that you have the support of all of them. I'm sure that also builds you and has made you into the person that you are. So me being a host that's trying my best, I was stalking your website. So historybeforeus.com, okay? Historybeforeus.com. Well, I'll let you talk more in depth about that later, but that was your website. So first of all, I love the layout. The artwork, beautiful. But I rented one of your documentaries, Sweet Home Alabama, a chief and his protege. And man, I mean, you're talented, okay? Like I loved the overall rhetoric of being resilient. And I love that you have, I love your creation of this platform for people to tell their stories. So I know how you said that you're a therapist by trade. Do you believe that being a therapist is helpful at all when you're interviewing these people?
It made me more confident when I started this process, because I tell people all the time, I married what I learned or what I gained from a technical skill standpoint, from the counseling piece to my passion. And a lot of people can't say that those two things intertwine with each other. But because I had to sit down with people and get the most out of them, whether it's a counseling session or if there's an interview for a documentary, then I definitely bring in those counseling skills for sure in making the person feel full and getting the most out of that person. And so with that being said, especially when people know that I'm also a therapist, it comes with a lot. So I take on a lot, right? Especially when I'm talking about things that's connected to trauma. And so there's a lot of trauma in history as well. And so, but then there's also this power of individuals being able to feel comfortable enough to purge and express themselves in a space to where they may feel as if they know that this person can handle it, right? And that they're not going to spook me, right? Because I've been in the field of counseling since 2005. So there's not a lot that I have not heard, but that does not necessarily mean that I'm not affected by it. It's just that I've learned how to manage that by being a therapist, right? And so it has definitely helped in so many different ways. And some of these interviews actually, sometimes they sometimes feel as if they are counseling sessions, to be honest with you, because people haven't talked about certain things in such a long period of time, or people have been waiting to talk about some of these things that they just, may have not felt as if they were important enough because they did not reach the height of what Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or this person or that person may have done. For the listeners, I'm alluding to those two individuals because at the moment, a majority of my films are focused on people of color, unheralded stories in various different communities that aren't necessarily in the history books. So that when I say those two names, it's just for context and context only.
Can we like piggyback on that and I read you a direct quote that you told me 2 weeks ago on a phone call?
Golly, I tell you all kinds of stuff. Hopefully I remember it.
No, I'm going to read it. I'm going to glance to my right so you'll see my eyes shift. But I'm going to read you what you told me, and I would love a little bit more. So you told me you were providing a platform to provide someone to talk about something healthy or painful, mostly empowering. Elaborate, sir. I love that quote.
There is power in storytelling. There's power in place. And it is a very empowering thing, and it's a very human thing to do, to say that I'm invested enough in your story that I want to come and sit down with you. I want to travel however many miles it takes for me to travel with you.
Yes.
Right? Or to you. I remember this one interview that I did in Jamaica with this brother that was from Charleston, but he was in Jamaica. And I was sitting down with him, and, we're in a whole nother, we're not in the United States, and we're sitting down and we're talking. And my questions were, and he was living in Hawaii at the time, and he lives in Hawaii actually, but we were in Jamaica, and he was I had him jogging his memory, thinking about things back to his childhood in Charleston, South Carolina. And some of the things that he was talking about was, man, these questions haven't been asked in such a long period of time. And so his memory jogged. And he's talking about one pot meals, and if you're from the Gullah Geechee area, that's where you put all these things in this one pot: rice, beans. You would put some meat, vegetables, et cetera, and that one pot feeds this whole family, right? And so you
Wow.
see these individuals in there, and they light up. Right. They're like, oh man, like someone thinks that my life is important. Right. And it's not to say that me being in front of them is the holy grail and it gives them that confirmation. But what it does say is that from a humanistic side of things, we need to kind of get back to that. We need to be inquisitive about people that are walking around on this earth, because oftentimes on this earth, because a lot of times whenever people are experiencing certain things, they may feel like they're the only ones. And you harbor that and you keep that and you hold that, and then you get into various different vices that aren't necessarily the healthiest, that could have been helped if there was a community that was created for you to be able to rid yourself of some of the things that you have experienced, or things that have happened historically within your family, or things that you are thinking about in the future that you may not necessarily feel like you're equipped to handle. And so sitting down with people provides an opportunity for them to feel empowered, because they're feeling as if I matter. This person's actually interested in this. And it's not this pomp and circumstance thing. It's just what we used to do back in the day before we had devices and things, and whether it was going and sitting on someone's porch and having a conversation, or writing letters, the old school way.
Yeah.
We're kind of this is kind of getting back to that, and I hope that more people pick it up and travel to various different places to do such. I was in Bermuda. I was in Bermuda last time around this year in March, and I love the locals.
Always, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting down with some of the locals there in Bermuda, and we're talking about their culture. And this person's from Jamaica, and Bermuda is such a transient island. And I didn't know that until I got there, that these people were coming from all these different Caribbean islands and things like that. And they're telling me in Jamaica this, or in Barbados this and this and that, and they're just excited. You can feel the energy. I can sit there and talk to people for hours, and so I feel like they feel good when they leave talking to me. Right. So
yes,
that's what it does. That's what I feel like. It empowers people.
Oh man, yeah, you're like a bartender and a therapist and like everything. Like whenever people, when they leave they leave feeling better. I mean, that's got to make you feel good. And I'm not trying to fluff up your head. I don't know you like Aaron knows you, but I'm just saying you gotta be proud of that. The fact that you are making people feel better and their lives better. And so Aaron and we were talking about you the other day. He's your biggest fan. It's a little ridiculous. He really enjoys you and and like everything you say.
I love you, sir.
I love you too.
But he was telling me a lot of interesting things that you have said. And one of the things he said, and I'm going to read it. He said that you said always a silver lining where a person can establish their own empowerment, right? And so whenever you're speaking to these people, whether it's in a different country, whether it's here, whether it's traveling up the Southeast, do you feel like you are able to, and I'm not grasping my words here, but do you feel like because you have the ability to travel and to visit these places, that you're able to keep history alive?
History will never die, even though there's been multiple attempts, even now, as you all know, for it to be handpicked. And so that's why I like my platform, because a governor can't tell me what I can and can't discuss. I started this from the standpoint of passion and seeing a void that was needed. And so money wasn't my motivating factor in doing this. It was literally wanting to learn more and seek the quote unquote underdogs, if you will, to find a sense of understanding and a way in which that, again, I can empower them. And so, with that being said, the reins that are on some people, right? The puppet master or the puppet strings that some individuals have to adhere to. I don't have to do that. And so there's no restrictions on what I post unless they unpost it or they take it down or what have you from a social media standpoint. But there's always somebody out there that wants to hear the truth. As a matter of fact, I just left Virginia. I just got back from Virginia today, roughly around 3:00. I was at William and Mary College, giving a presentation about some family history in Alabama. And there are people out there who are completely in the dark about certain things as it relates to history, and they want to know and they want to learn, right? So it's kind of like the things, and this is just for me. Whenever the pastor told us not to do anything, I went and did it. So what's happening is just that are trying to suppress certain histories. You also have people that have that same mentality. And it's like, well, if you're trying to keep me away from something, there has to be something in there that I probably need to know. So some of this stuff is working against the people that want to suppress and oppress various different histories, and they don't even see it. They don't even see it. Listen, we're nosy as people, as human beings. We're just naturally nosy in most instances or what have you. So yes, I feel that the platform and the work that I do and the places that I travel to highlight will definitely, hopefully, lend to the landscape of this thing called history.
Can I actually expand on like highlighting you? Because you and I, like a couple months ago, went to like your film festival where your documentary series was being portrayed. That was amazing. It was so exciting. And thank you for letting me play part in that, by the way. But like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So it's the film festival circuit is what I call it. Like after I finish a film, if it's solely produced by me or and directed or co-directed and co-produced, if I have an agreement with whoever I did the work with, submit to these film festivals, we travel across the country for them. And that one was the Cobb International Film Festival, which was...
It was amazing. It was so much fun.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. This guy's freaking brilliant.
What's he doing on here with us, Aaron?
Y'all are too much. So you go get your films to these various different film festivals across the country and then some overseas. And, you get the invite as a filmmaker, you get a pass, and you usually get a couple of passes for people to be able to attend with you. And so I think this year, within the past year with Sweet Home Alabama and then another film I did, I think over the past year and a half, I've been to like 7 film festivals thus far.
Okay, for one, you've only invited me to one, so we'll talk about that. So we're fighting now, but that's later. We'll talk.
But yeah, those are the film festivals, and it's a bunch of mostly independent filmmakers that just see a void in some type of area and tells great stories, and it's really for the independent thinkers, the individuals that aren't necessarily pigeonholed into various different things as it relates to certain genres of film and things like that. So yeah, it's beautiful. I love going to them. I actually just left one in Ocean City, Maryland about 3 weeks ago. So I was in Ocean City, Maryland.
Yes, Starlet, I did not get that invite. So let's document that.
Noted.
He was on a shoot. I don't know if he was or not, but we're going to...
Aaron was also telling me that recently you got to interview somebody that was close to Dr. King. Is that in those instances, did you reach out to this person? Did they reach out to you? Like, how do you decide who you're going to interview?
Yeah, so with that specific lady, ironically, she was part of that film festival. She was featured in a film, and it was focused on Martin Luther King. And she dated Martin Luther King before his wife, Coretta. And so for me, and this was in Ocean City, Maryland on the beach. So it was absolutely gorgeous to start the morning off with a walk on the beach. And this was actually my first time in Ocean City, Maryland. And so let me say something real quick about like some of my travels, because I know that, a lot of times when people talk about travel, it's more international, right? But again, like I mentioned to you in my childhood, because I was really stuck between two states, and because I'm an outdoors guy, we got a lot of great places to visit here in the United States as well, right? And so,
100%.
yeah, and I've done international travel. I've been various different places, but I always get stoked about going to new places in the United States as well, just because of the geographic landscape and just like seeing, okay, well, how is the culture here different than in North Carolina, where I live at, Charlotte, North Carolina, or in Tennessee, where I was raised, or Louisiana, where I spent some of my childhood, or Georgia, right? And so I just wanted to put that out there, though, because I think that some people they miss out on some domestic travel spots, right? We go to Boston last year and explore New England, which was absolutely beautiful in that area in the fall. So it was really, really, really nice. So, but this specific person, speaking of Boston, she was in Boston with Martin Luther King, and she was dating him. And this was before his wife. And just after the screening, her and I were part of a Q&A with everybody that was part of the film festival in that specific block of films. And I just go in to ask them questions. And, she was very forthcoming about everything. And it was just amazing to be able to talk with her. And I was raised in a small town in Tennessee. So I have no problem with talking with people. And so as it relates to me finding certain individuals who I would like to interview, it really just depends on, for one, if it's a paid project, because some of these are, I'm commissioned to do some of these. But a lot of times I just do interviews just to do interviews, and I get on Google and I may put in a certain topic and I'll go like 6 pages, 7 pages, on the counter on the bottom where you can go to choose whatever page you want to go to. Yeah. Because I don't want people that's on the front, right? I want the people that you ain't heard of. You know what I'm saying? I want the people that's in the back that you don't hear of. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the voices that I want to amplify. So I always look for the little big people to seek out and interview, because we all have interesting lives. There's something that everybody can contribute to that can hopefully inspire somebody to do better.
Those are the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do believe so, because a lot of times they're the most relatable. You can relate to certain things that celebrities do because we're just in two different in life. We're in two different tax brackets. We're in places from a resources standpoint where my resources look different than what theirs looks like. But when you don't, when that's not the currency that brings you happiness, and it's being outdoors, or it's having genuine friendships, or if it's using your camera, capturing beautiful moments, or if it's traveling, right? For you, Starla, like that, those are the things. That's what my currency is now. It's just people and doing the things that I do with History Before Us.
Ooh, I got some chill bumps on that one. Okay. Your currency. That's good.
That's amazing. I love that. Murph, I want to bring up another quote that you did. All right. And I want you to expand on it. There are change agents all around us, and we would be reckless to not discuss their stories, uplifting the little people who do not have a glorified platform. What platform are you able to provide for these change agents, especially regarding when you travel? I'm so intrigued by that.
So that's a quote that I said.
You said that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, man.
You may need to give yourself a little bit more credit, by the way.
So, change agent again is using your tool, right? It's using the intangible things that you may not even know can help somebody, but it actually helps somebody.
Yes.
You mentioned to me that there was a person that you did a shoot for, and that person, one of the individuals, unfortunately had passed, and I think somebody had gotten a tattoo of this person, and it was your picture that you had taken, right? So those are the things that I'm talking about. Are the things that we may not even know serve as a huge impact for other individuals. And we may not ever know it, but if we don't necessarily go out there and seek it and do things to get that type of praise, and it just comes organically, right? Because we're being our true, authentic self. Um, the universe has a way of spinning it back around to where you recognize that this is a purpose and this is a good purpose. And I didn't even expect or know that this instrument that I use or this opportunity that I create was going to be that impactful for people. And so even like with this platform right here, Starla, like when Aaron first brought it to me and he was talking about travel, and at first I was like, I may not be good for it because I don't do a lot of international traveling, right? Like, I mean, I go to some islands here and there, right? But and I have some trips that are lined up. Like Gambia is one that I think I'm going to be able to pull off this year.
Oh, wow.
So at first I was like, I don't know, because like it just depends. But here we are, right? And we're mixing in travel with, so travel is a wide blanket for it. It's not just, stunting for social media and it's, to show X, Y, and Z, right? It's traveling with purpose. And I feel that that's super important. And that's when I agreed to it, I'm like, well, the travel that I do, I feel like it has purpose, and I've been told it has purpose by other people. So yeah, this is going to be a good thing to do. So thank you, Starla, because platform, and I didn't look at it originally from that standpoint of, I looked at it solely as the recreational piece. But I think that traveling with purpose is just as good.
Traveling with purpose. Dang, you gonna make me change my podcast name. That's like real good. That's legit.
I love it.
That.
I love it.
For real. And and I'm not knocking any sort of recreational travel whatsoever. But I mean, there is, under the umbrella of travel, there is a huge amount of people that I'm sure, hopefully I'll be able to interview one day that have stories about their philanthropic adventures through travel. And just, you can be a change agent through your traveling as well. So there's so many. Traveling opens up so many more opportunities. Like, you get to talk to so many people, from all over the place. And I was thinking about this whenever you were talking earlier, because I as well, I am inspired by your stories, because I am a believer in telling your stories and giving somebody a platform. And, same with my podcast on a lower scale. I'm like, hey, I don't need to just talk to the people who have climbed Mount Everest, right? Like, I also want to talk to the people who went to the Grand Canyon. They looked out. It was their first time, going anywhere in the United States. And they just had that moment where it changed their life. So, like, again, travel is, I'm giving that example on a minor scale. It doesn't relate per se to what we're talking about. But I'm just saying that earlier when you were talking about talking to people who we haven't heard their stories, it made me start thinking, we really do have such a limited view of history. Like when you said we hear about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who's amazing, and Rosa Parks, who's amazing, in our history books. And this is a question. Who is writing our history books? Like the curriculum that that my daughter reads and is taught by, and our kids, like, nothing against white men. I am white. Aaron's a white man. But what narrow perspective is of this, the history of Black people, if we're just hearing it from a couple of white guys who are writing our history books, right? So yeah. I think what you're doing is incredibly important to give such a broader perspective, right?
Yeah. History has been written solely in from an educational standpoint, mostly by white men. And, there's oppressive factors there as well for white women, even if, some don't want to admit it. You have the whole stand by your man thing, right? But this is, again, Mooney, no offense, because you are a white man. But yes, it has largely been written by a white man, at least here in these United States, right? And other places as well. And when you look at these different curriculums from your K through 12 experience, and maybe even your collegiate experience for individuals that have attended college, you can see how one-sided it is. Let's just be honest, right? But then when you come to play pages and social media stuff, social media platforms like myself, and then all these other content creators that are out there, even in your own communities, like if you look at even your own communities and look at the contributions of not only white folks, but Black folks, Asian folks, indigenous folks, Afro-Indigenous folks, some instead of indigenous like to be called American Indian or Native Americans, whichever, floats your boat. It is expansive, and we limit ourselves when we don't have access to those. But from hierarchies and they empower, you have to brainwash the mind to feel like this is the only way. And because we live in the South, you get more of that in the South than anywhere. We know this, right? And so it makes it difficult. But for me, it's also been very rewarding because whenever I find these stories that aren't in our history books, it's a prize because I'm like, oh, shit, I cannot wait to tell the world about this. And I'm sure a lot of people may know about, right? And if you're open-minded and you can be flexible and eclectic enough to learn something new that will increase your competency, then hopefully you'll take a look at it, not take offense to it, because Lord knows I've been taught not to take certain things throughout my years of being a person of color in this country, right? It's shoved down my throat on a daily basis. Hopefully other people can do the same thing. A history that may not be as revered, right, than other people's.
Do you find it strange? I don't know if that's the right word for it, but the fact that two white people right now are incredibly interested in what you're doing. Like, when you started what you're doing, did you think, oh, wow, this is really going to change the perspective of white people as well? Like, was that one of the things you wanted to do?
I didn't necessarily focus on that piece because I was very well aware of the working relationships with Black folks and white folks throughout history. Whether it was the Underground Railroad, whether it was through the anti-lynching campaign that Ida B. Wells had begun, there's always been allies in some way, shape, or form. So I made it a point to not concern myself too much about who received the information, and more so making sure the information was out there, because there's some people that just aren't going to be open to hearing or understand anything than what they've learned and know their whole life. And so because of that, I made it a point to not concern myself with that too much, because that may impede on the work that I do. And I don't want to do that. And so I worked with everybody, and everybody comes to my screenings and my talks. They're very eclectic. So it's never just all Black crowd. It's never just an all white crowd, or all Asian crowd, an indigenous crowd. It's usually a blend. And I know that if you're there to support me or check out the work that I've done, that there has to be some type of interest that's there, which is cool, because my job is not to make you appreciate the history that I put out there. It's to put it out there, give you the facts, and hopefully you understand the importance of that history and utilize whatever resources and platform that you have to spread it to everybody else.
That's awesome. Aaron, you have any more, highlights, reels, anything in your mind that, you got Murph here, anything else you want to ask him?
So one question I'm curious about is you and I are kind of in the same boat. So 2 decades ago, we worked together. A little bit time passed, and we left corporate America at the same time. Can we talk about, Starla and I, in my podcast, we talked about like pursuing your passion, so let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what inspires you to like pursue the passion beside what you're doing that's away from that whole regiment of that 9 to 5? Can we expand upon that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I misunderstood. My apologies.
Or no. So it's KNOW. You and I worked in corporate America together.
Yes, yes.
And man, we would go down during lunch break and drink. There was one time where I had a cup of tequila on my desk, and they would.
Oh, I
always
remember. Yes, yes.
in the like little tennis balls or what have you in the office in the call center where we worked at. And one time that damn ball hit my cup, and it was tequila. And I know that people smelled it. And
it happens, man. It happens.
It's right. Like we were in our early 20s, working downtown.
Starla, we were just babies. I mean, like
babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in a building downtown Atlanta, I think that coming out of college, you are looking at life as I want to get into this space, corporate America, perhaps. And this is back then. I want to move up the ladder and I want to be the top dog and this and that, this and that. But then when you get out and you start recognizing, shit, I don't know if this is fulfilling, right? Like, am I going to be able to amass the amount of money that I want to live the type of life that I want to live by working for somebody else? And is money my motivating factor to where I'll sacrifice so much of the things that I want to do to be sitting down in this space from 9 to 5 or even longer than that? And this is no knock for individuals that love that type of work. I think that over time, I just was growing out of it. The more and more I became interested in doing things that I've always done on a whole nother level, right? So like when I do go hiking, go biking, or things like that, I'm like, man, I wish I could have one more day. And I would have one more day if I didn't have to go back and sit at this desk, right? And so like you get to this point, again, where I say choosing what your currency is. And my currency is being able to not be tied to something to where I have to be solely to where I have to be responsible for, because I've been a manager, I've been a supervisor, I've been an associate dean of students, I've been a director of a counseling center. I've held those managerial positions, and it came with more stress than anything else. And it prohibited me from being able to work solely into what it is that I love to do on a daily basis, which is history or to travel or to go and enjoy the outdoors. And so it's a liberating thing for me. And it has been 4 or 5 years when I've kind of stepped in that water, nervous, scared as hell at first. There's been times when I talk like, maybe I need to get a job, right? But when you're good, I think that the Creator, when you're a good person, genuinely, I think that the Creator takes care of you. And, Aaron's always calling me, I may have to go back. And then boom, this awesome opportunity comes about a day later. And he's like, maybe not. Right. And so those are the things that you kind of have to grapple with when you step into this space. But, you can't be a fool, right? If you're running low and you have to be out on the streets, you need to get yourself up in somebody's office, but it brings liberation, man. There's a freedom to it and a feeling to it that is just undescribable.
Okay. I can 100% agree with everything you said. So my last one is excluding myself. We gotta put this toward travel. Who is the most influential person you have ever met? I messed that up. Besides us.
Well, there's so many people, and it's not going to be like, it's not even a one person thing. And first, let me say this, right? You all can't see this, but Starla has this sweater on, and it's blue, and it's for the national parks. And I have the same one. Yeah, and I have the same one.
Do you really?
I'm tying this.
Okay.
Yeah, green. I have the green one. We got it from REI. I'm a member. So,
that's awesome.
REI, if y'all hear this, we're members, okay?
It's an exclusive club, Aaron. I don't know if you got an invite, but I think...
Can I be in that club one day?
Be in the club. And see, I've tried to get Aaron to go hiking and biking with me. I've telling him
that's not happening, though. That's not happening.
Us three are going to have to. We're going to have to get a hiking trip together in North Georgia mountains. Like, seriously.
I'm sorry, you were breaking up a little bit. I didn't get that.
Live. That sounds great. Let's do it.
So, as far as I'm going to be honest, a lot of the inspiration that I get for travel is via social media, man. It's seeing people
Okay.
that are, I'm just getting in this RV. I'm going to here. I'm going there, or
Okay.
I've saved money. I'm going to this place or that place, and I that like my feed on my timeline is mostly people traveling. It's nature. It's history. Like those are
Okay.
like my main things. Like I don't really subscribe to craziness and drama at this point in time in my life anymore. And so what has become my passion and what kind of keeps it fueled are just the people that are on social media that's going to these different places that are just that I would have never even thought about. And I'm just like, that's pretty dope. And I'm saving these places, I'm writing them down. And whenever vacation times comes around, I may go back to that specific post that I saved for that person, and I'll follow the itinerary that they have. And I've done that. That's what I did. That's what I did for Bermuda. And so
Okay.
it's just your ordinary everyday people that had made the decision to say that I want to keep a healthy, holistic balance in life. And part of that includes travel. And these are the places that I go to. And they take amazing pictures and amazing videos and make it very enticing. They're not super makeup. They don't have on all the makeup. They don't, they're not doing it for show. It's just that, hey, this is what I do. And this brings me happiness. And the reality is that's the same sentiments that I have as well.
I love that. Okay, cool.
So, Aaron, keep posting your pictures.
No.
keep posting, your travel pictures so that we can be inspired by it.
Yeah.
So this has been amazing, and I have had so much fun. You are so well spoken, Murph. It's almost intimidating. I love it.
Oh my God, it's so crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? So before I ask you to share, a couple of your upcoming projects with us and, kind of promote whatever you want to promote, I do want to do something quickly that neither one of you are expecting, but I always love ending these podcasts with a few questions that revolve around travel. But because you guys have this friendship, have this bond, I think it'll be fun, and I kind of want to exploit your friendship. So I have 5 questions to ask you guys together. Okay? Are you ready?
No.
Aaron, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Number 1. If you guys were going on an international trip together, who's the bougier travel between the two of you?
You better not say it.
It would be me because it would be me because, and I'll say that because now I have some food allergies now that I've gotten older, right?
Like, some dietary restrictions.
There's a certain type of bourbon that I'll drink that Aaron can still drink Jim Evans and I can't. Like I just
cheers, sir.
I got to level up. I just can't. My body can't take it anymore, right? So it will probably be me. Yeah, there's certain things that I gotta.
So I just won the first round.
Yeah, he was. So. I like steaks and shrimp and all this, and Mooney can eat some Chef Boyardee all day. So no lie.
That was not a compliment, sir.
Okay, number 2. If you guys were asked to pack each other's bags before a trip, what is one thing that you would definitely pack for the other person?
Oh gosh.
So for Mooney, well, now with his hair being that way, because it changes so much. I don't know if there's mousse that's in it or
dry shampoo.
Yeah, it's not really moving that much, so I'm guessing like mousse.
And here's the funny thing. You see Murph, I would pack mousse for him as well.
No, you would not. We'll go to number 3 then. Who would be the first person to lose their temper on, let's just say, a gate agent if your luggage was lost?
I've never seen Aaron mad. I think that if there was an ant to walk across the road, he would jump out of his car to go pick up the ant. And I'll have to say I probably would.
Yes, agreed.
Aaron in his Buddhist ways. Okay. I love it. Number 4.
Okay.
If somebody offered both of you a, guys trip to either Machu Picchu or the Egyptian pyramids of Giza, which one are y'all choosing?
Pyramids?
I have to say pyramids. I mean,
I would say pyramids. Yeah, we're in it. We got this. So
You're in.
Starla is funding our trip.
Okay, perfect.
Right, you're right. The day I start making some money off this, I will fund y'all's trip to Egyptian pyramids of Giza. That would be awesome, and I'll probably go with y'all. Okay, so last
please
one.
do. Yes.
And it's not a beginning of a joke. You're at a bar in a different country. Who is the one who would who would start a conversation with a stranger first?
Mooney.
This guy. It would happen. It would happen.
I wonder if because Murph, like, your job is talking and speaking. There's got to be sometimes like at a bar where you just want to decompress.
It's true.
And I can see you and Aaron sitting at a bar, and then somebody sits down next to you. I could just see him immediately being like, "So, why are you in the Giza?"
So my conversation would be just a given. His would actually be beneficial.
But both have their purpose and their place.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, fun, casual conversations at the bar. Sometimes that's just what you need, where you don't go into depth.
Yeah.
When it is superficial, when you can talk about the Braves, go Braves, or whoever else you like. I mean, there's something special about that as well.
Absolutely.
So thank y'all for playing that with me. That's always fun. So Murph, what do you have to kind of wrap us up here? What do you have going on right now? Where can people find you? Social media? I threw out your website earlier.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I have going on. And people can find me at History Before Us on all social media platforms, Twitter. I don't tweet a lot though, but the TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and the website, all that's History Before Us. And my films are on the website as well, at historybeforeus.com. And my email address is historybeforeus@gmail.com. And what I have coming up next, I have a couple of documentary releases that are coming up. Appalachia Soul is one that's going to be coming up in the fall. Duality, a collection of Afro-Indigenous perspectives, is going to be released this fall as well. And I'm working on a series titled The American South as We Know It. And it was my very first film. Aaron, you know this because you took pictures of me in that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I've turned it into a series. And so I'll be traveling throughout the South again, collecting these stories, but it's going to be a series, a docu-series, where the episodes will be about 23 minutes each versus a documentary, a full-length documentary. So that's going to be pretty fun because I already have a couple of places that I'll be going that I know right now, which is St. Helena Island, which is down in South Carolina. I will be in Atlanta filming a person as well. And I'll actually be in Atlanta. So yeah, Starla, if you're free, please come out. April the 7th, I believe.
Yes.
National Center for Human and Civil Rights. So I'll be screening a documentary there and have the participant in that documentary. She'll be joining us for a Q&A. So I'll be in Atlanta for that. And I have a couple of other things. We Can Do Better, which is a film that I collaborated with Eastern Carolina University and the Phoenix Historical Society. And that's going to be released here in April. So a lot of good things coming up, and, definitely still traveling, doing presentations and checking out historical sites. So it's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, yes. I love this. Historybeforeus.com. We're checking you out. I'm excited. I am going to also, Aaron, maybe we can talk about going to support him on April 11th. That would be awesome. But right? Yeah, that would be awesome. But overall, I love how you're building and sustaining a community that revolves around hope and love. And I admire how you're using the benefits of travel, to continue this dialogue on keeping history alive. And so we can continue to examine the past. Thank you for everything that you have done and you're doing to make this world a better place. And thank you for joining us. And Aaron, do you want to tell your friend anything before we leave?
I just want to say, brother, I appreciate you. I love you. You're freaking amazing. So this was amazing. Yes.
I greatly appreciate it. And I greatly appreciate the opportunity. And Starla, we got to get that hike together in North Georgia mountains. Like, we
Yes.
got to make it happen.
Yes. All right, Murph, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is prohibited on the entire aircraft, including the lavatories. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the lavatory smoke detectors is prohibited by law. If you have any questions about our flight today, please don't hesitate to ask one of our flight attendants.